10 years, 6 conference finals, banner 18. Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown reached the NBA summit together, cementing a partnership that would define the franchise. Then, without warning, the Boston Celtics opted for a clean break. As Jaylen Brown told thousands of viewers on a Twitch stream shortly after the trade, "They packed me up. It's a crazy business. There's no loyalty, there's no love." The shockwaves hit the locker room just as hard. Head coach Joe Mazzulla faced reporters at Summer League and admitted he was still processing the trade, focusing on the loss of a culture setter who made him a better coach. The Jays' era is over. The defending champions are entering their title defense having removed a 10-year veteran and a cornerstone of their locker room, leaving Jayson Tatum and Joe Mazzulla to navigate a sudden shift in the team's hierarchy. This diagram illustrates exactly what Boston's front office was staring down: the NBA's new second apron. This is a highly punitive salary cap threshold designed to make it nearly impossible to keep expensive, top-heavy rosters together. Jaylen Brown was due to make $60 million a year on a Supermax extension. Combine that with Tatum's incoming deal, and the Celtics would be financially paralyzed. They would be forced to fill out the rest of the rotation with minimum wage players and face heavy restrictions on future trades. Seeking an escape hatch, Boston quietly shopped Brown in a package for Giannis Antetokounmpo. The trade fell through. Giannis went to Miami, and the relationship between Jaylen Brown and the Celtics front office was effectively over. Boston was backed into a corner. They either had to sell high on their reigning Finals MVP immediately, or let his massive contract limit their ability to improve the roster for the rest of Tatum's prime. President of Basketball Operations Brad Stevens evaluated the math and chose to prioritize optionality. He decided that future roster flexibility was more valuable than attempting to repair a fractured partnership. Stevens finalized a deal with Philadelphia, sending Brown away in exchange for 36-year-old Paul George, 2 first-round picks, and 2 second-round picks. By avoiding Brown's Supermax, Boston used their newfound flexibility to restructure their depth. They aggressively addressed their frontcourt, signing rim protector Mitchell Robinson to a 3-year deal, while also adding veteran leadership in Mike Conley. The spreadsheet math works for the front office. On paper, they have draft capital and a more balanced salary sheet. On the court, they have a team that looks and plays nothing like the group that just won a title. For years, Boston's offensive identity relied on the overlapping scoring of the two Jays. When Tatum sat, Brown took over as the primary isolation threat. That luxury is gone. Jayson Tatum is now the undisputed singular engine of the Boston offense. Nearly every late-game possession will now be dictated by his decision-making. Paul George isn't here to replicate Brown's aggressive downhill attacking style. Instead, George provides elite catch-and-shoot numbers, offering wider perimeter spacing for Tatum to operate. Look at this chalkboard animation to see the new defensive philosophy. Instead of switching every perimeter screen, Mazzulla is moving towards a structured system anchored by Mitchell Robinson, actively funneling attackers toward the rim. To maintain the energy this system requires, Mazzulla plans to use hockey-style line substitutions. Players will run in shorter, max-effort bursts to keep the defensive pressure constant. This total tactical reinvention is how Mazzulla plans to survive. He is shifting the team's entire defensive and offensive structure to ensure Stevens' financial maneuver actually translates to wins. Escaping the second apron solved a financial problem, but it created a competitive one. Boston didn't just move Brown. They sent him directly to their most bitter division rival. Philadelphia now features a high-scoring trio. Jaylen Brown joins former MVP Joel Embiid, forcing opposing defenses to choose between doubling the post or staying home on an All-NBA wing. This creates even more room for Tyrese Maxey. With Brown as a secondary playmaker and perimeter threat, Maxey will have the most open driving lanes of his career. Boston handed a Finals MVP who feels disrespected by the trade process to the very team that just eliminated them. They've given a motivated star a direct path to sabotage their repeat hopes 4 times a year. Brad Stevens balanced his books. In the process, he may have constructed the most significant obstacle to his own team's championship window. The front office secured a victory on the balance sheet. Down on the floor, Joe Mazzulla has to prove he can win a title without the player who set the standard for the organization's culture. Mazzulla had no input on this trade. He inherits the results, bearing the burden of making this massive organizational shift work when the games matter. When the playoffs arrive, we will find out the true cost of this move. Is Brad Stevens a financial visionary, or did he just trade away the continuity that made Boston a champion?